It's time for Agriculture, presented by Turkana Farms in Germantown, New York, a small-scale producer of heritage breed livestock and a wide array of vegetables and berries on just over 39 acres. They also produce a full array of garden vegetables, many of them heirloom varieties raised naturally, as well as an assortment of berries, including raspberries, blackberries, gooseberries, black, red, and white currants, mulberries, and elderberries. And now, here's Mark Scherzer.
When friends tell me I'm too old to be going up on ladders, I resist. When the storm windows have swelled over the summer with basement moisture barely fitting in the window frames, I persist. Yet finally, when I reach the last two upstairs windows and the 20-pound storms get stuck sliding into place, and I begin feeling insecure jiggling them free and adjusting them atop the extension ladder, I desist, resist, persist, desist. The progression of age. I must concede the limitations of my 70 years. If I were still in need of confirmation, it came when I realized that neither of the handymen I would immediately consider calling, both younger than me, were men I would feel comfortable asking to go up on an extension ladder to complete the task. I must now search out a younger, stronger, more agile person, the right man to take on the short but precarious project. I do not yet shy away from physical labor. I was pleased to keep up with the pace of two considerably younger men as a couple of hayricks worth of hay, over 300 bales in total, arrived to be stacked in the barn for winter. And of course the security of knowing that a sufficient supply is on hand to get through the next few snowy months is a great comfort. Yet with age does come more typical old man preoccupations. Indoors. What has engaged me intensely the last couple of weeks, when being outside has not felt so enticing, has not been the farm, but a project of reconstructing the past. It started when I was reorganizing my library. Having worked through most of the books in the house, I pulled out a text in Hebrew, a Talmudic commentary it turns out, which I inherited from my paternal grandmother, Eva Scherzer. Out of the book fluttered two letters, both dated in 1942, both sent from Los Angeles. One, in English, authorized my grandmother to retrieve 8 boxes of books from storage, and was signed by Heinrich and Nelly Mann. The other, in German, kindly translated by my friend Éric's friend Francis, was dated several months later. It was also from Heinrich Mann, and it spoke of his frustration at the difficulties of trying to save the fragments of a lost library. Growing up, we had been told by our parents that our grandmother had been somehow instrumental in saving the papers of Thomas Mann. We never knew what that meant. As my sister Jolie said, she couldn't imagine that Grandma Eva, traveling as a refugee from Vienna across Russia with her baby daughter after the German Anschluss took over Austria, was somehow carrying Thomas Mann's letters under her coat. But what did it mean? Here, for the first time, was a clue. Heinrich Mann was Thomas Mann's older brother, not nearly as famous as his Nobel Prize winning junior, but also a novelist and accomplished in his own right. He was also far more radical than Thomas, and it would make sense that my grandmother, herself a communist, would have some association with him. His letter informed her that he had no resources to help, that he appreciated her willingness to contribute $20 to obtaining the books, and suggested that she talk to the committee, whatever that was, about obtaining the remainder of the $70 required. But what committee? And what was this lost library? I've been on a quest the last couple of weeks to find out. I wrote to the Thomas Mann archive at Yale's Beinecke Library and called the Heinrich Mann archive at the University of Southern California to inquire about whether either had received books in 1942 or 43 or could tell me anything about this. Yale has yet to reply, an indicator that Thomas Mann probably has nothing to do with this story, but the archivist at USC immediately located a file on my grandmother containing 3 letters from her to Heinrich Mann, translations of which I await. The librarian there has also promised me further correspondence from Heinrich regarding retrieving his books. From browsing the letters myself, I found reference to a meeting between my grandmother and 2 women, Evelyn Hersey and Jeanette Siebold. A little online research revealed Evelyn Hersey to have been a prominent social worker who died in 1963. She was the first social welfare attaché in the U.S. Foreign Service after World War II. Prior to that, she was involved with an organization which was variously known as the American Committee for Christian Refugees, the American Christian Committee for Refugees, and the American Committee for Christian German Refugees. Aha! I thought, this must be the committee referred to in the Heinrich Mann letter. I've inquired at the Peace Library at Swarthmore College, where most of this committee's archives are stored, about reviewing their records in the next few weeks. Meanwhile, I'm acutely aware of the need to move quickly to get the story right before sources of information disappear. Francis, who immediately became excited by this project because of his deep knowledge of the Mann family, had suggested that I interview Justus Rosenberg, a professor emeritus of literature at Bard, residing near here in Rhinebeck. Himself a remarkable man, Professor Rosenberg was a resistance fighter in World War II and worked with Varian Fry, known as the American Schindler, and a group that rescued more than 2,000 at-risk intellectuals from Vichy France. He personally shepherded Heinrich and Nelly Mann across the Pyrenees to the relative safety of Spain, sipping from a brandy flask provided by Nelly as they walked. Sadly, the New York Times informs us, Professor Rosenberg died this week at age 100. The ultimate details of my grandmother's role saving this lost library promise to be considerably less romantic than the trek across the Pyrenees. They intrigue me nevertheless. I'm very pleased to think that after years of hearing a refracted view of history, our family association now seems to be with the right man. If I can only find the right man now for the storm windows.
Agriculture is underwritten by Turkana Farms, LLC, a small-scale producer of heritage-bred livestock and a wide array of vegetables and berries on just over 39 acres in Germantown, New York. More information, 518-537-3815.